Okay, this is part 3 of lesson 3.5. Look here, it says, which is the graph of 4x minus 4y is greater than or equal to 36? So one thing that might be easier to do is if we actually translated this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to take negative 4y. It's going to be greater than or equal to, and I move 4x over. I get negative 4x plus 36. And then what I can do is then I can divide both sides by negative 4. I'm going to get y. Now, what happens to an inequality when we divide it, or divide or multiply both sides by a negative number? That's right, we reverse the sign. So y should be less than or equal to negative 4 times 4. That's just going to be x minus 9. So now if we look at these situations, we know that the y-intercept is negative 9. Well, in this graph, the y-intercept is not at negative 9. It's a positive value. Here, that could very well be negative 9. Here it certainly isn't. And here it could also be negative 9. So we know B and D are probably our most likely answers. And the way we can figure out which one is our answer is like, let's look at this. Y has to be less than or equal to all of this. Which of these lines shows things being less than or equal to? Not this one, because it goes above the line. This one goes below. That would be less than or equal to that line. So that means that D is in fact our answer. Okay? All right, last bit. We want to graph the following. 3x minus 2y is less than or equal to 10, and 3x minus y is less than 12. So again, if we put these in slope-intercept form, it's going to help us out. So this one, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So that means I've got negative 2y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 10. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. That will, of course, switch my sign. So now y is going to be greater than or equal to 3/2 x minus 5. So that means my y-intercept is going to be at negative 5. Okay. And my x-intercept, if I bring 5 over, so if I put 0 in for y, I want to solve for x. And so if I do that, I want 5 divided by 3/2. And looks like the x-intercept is going to be about 3 1/3. So that's going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and somewhere right around there is a third. And so now we know we can graph this in both directions, and y needs to be greater than or equal to that. So that means anything that's above it. For the next problem, 3x minus y is less than 12. Again, let's subtract 3x from both sides. That means we've got negative y is less than negative 3x plus 12. Divide both sides by negative 1. That, of course, is going to switch our sign. So now y is going to be greater than 3x minus 12. So our y-intercept should be somewhere down here, at negative 12. And our x-intercept, if we put 0 in for y, we solve for x. X is going to be roughly 4. So we can definitely draw a line. Now, the difference here, though, is that this really should be a dotted line, not a solid line. And it's going to be greater than, so it's going to be anything greater than this, but not including this line. And that's how we graph and That's how we graph inequalities, and that's how we look at inequalities. So if it's a greater than or less than sign, we should have a dotted line. If it's greater than or equal to, or an equal sign, if it's an equation, we should have a nice solid line. The difference is if it's an equation, it's just the line. If it's a less than, equal to, or greater than equal to, it's the line and anything above or below.